Good morning, USA! I got a feeling that today is gonna be a horrible day, because we're taking a look at some of the worst episodes of American Dad to find out why they are considered to be some of the most awful. I recently asked you all what you think the worst episode of American Dad is, and I'm left with 4 episodes that are deemed to be some of the worst. What makes them so bad? Is it the comedy, the characters, the writing? That's what we're gonna be trying to find out today, and if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe because I upload almost every single day, and you do not want to miss it. And if you want a place where you can talk about your favorite shows, movies, games, all that good stuff, my Discord will be in the description. Now let's finally take a look at American Dad. The first episode that I'm going to be taking a look at is Tapped Out, and all I could really say to start us off is, somebody's got a fetish! And it's very fucking weird, it's very odd. You know, there has to be like 30 people that are seeing this episode, drawing it, and not one of them is like, hey guys, I don't think we struck gold here, I think this is really weird. Not one of them said that, but whatever. I think the introduction for this episode is fine, with Steve getting some new, fresh clothes, Stan not being comfortable with the fact that he doesn't have a neck and he wants to wear a turtleneck sweater. Klaus is a security guard going around and protecting the house, so that was fine for the most part until Klaus opens that door and, well, we see Francine. And Francine is just milking her hogs, just jorking her porkers.
Francine, you milky marvel.
Just getting an absurd amount of breast milk, and that's when we learn that Francine is still giving Steve breast milk so that Steve will always stay as her baby boy. What the fuck? He's 14. And that does not help the situation. It makes it so much worse. Klaus immediately tells Steve about this, and Steve is like, I don't want your milk, woman! I don't want your milk! He's very adamant about this, but he goes on and tries to drink just Sunny D for breakfast, and he feels very tired, so he realizes that he does, in fact, need the milk. And that's a problem on its own. I mean, the dude is just drinking his mom's breast milk at the age of 14 constantly, all day, every day. Just at school, his mom comes to school with like a gun with her breast milk in it, squirts it into his mouth, and, you know, they could have stopped there. That could have been the end of it, you know? There could have been something traumatic, like, I don't know, Steve needs the milk so bad, and then, I don't know, slips and crushes his ball sack in a fiery flame, and he's like, I don't need your milk anymore, Mom! But it doesn't go that route. It doesn't. Because Steve is very nervous about the play that he's going to be performing in, and there's only one solution. Francine is in the back of the stage with him, and we cut to the stage curtains being opened, and bro is just sucking his mother dry like a freshly born hog. Just all upon that. Why, Steve? Why? So that's already a problem enough, the fact that he was sucking his mom dry in front of the entire school at the age of 14, but they keep on going with it. They don't stop at all. And it just gets so much worse. So they want to show that they're not bad people by filming a documentary in which they're just locked in a room together, showcasing the beauty of raising somebody long-term on breast milk. And Steve just, like, crawls up into her shirt and just, oh yeah, Mom, it's so good. And they start singing like a milk song together.
Army had a mom. E-I-E-I-O.
I don't know, it's very odd, it's very off-putting, it doesn't sit quite right with me. I'm not really a big fan of it. So they eventually stopped filming this documentary because Roger just couldn't do it anymore because it got a little weird. And Steve, he is unwilling to let this go, so much so that he's basically just unconsensually hopping onto her breast and just munching.
I like milk. It's my thing. And I'll never ever stop drinking it.
And it's so weird. He just gets an obsession with breast milk, and it's very hard to watch. This, like, 14-year-old man just keeps sucking his mom dry. That is a very weird sentence, isn't it? Very weird. So nobody thought that it was too far to have a young teen just, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. What's that one guy's name? Sigmund Freud? Is that the guy I'm thinking of? The guy who's like, it is innate in nature that every single young boy wants to fuck his mother. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy was working on the show and every single time he was drawing a frame where Steve's like, oh, Mom, oh, honey means family and family means taking care of your family. Oh, baby. Oh, just give me your breast milk. I'm gonna suck you dry, you wench. I feel like he was definitely working on the show, even though he's been long dead. He hijacked somebody to make sure that this would come to fruition, because that's all I could really imagine here. It is not good. Eventually Francine eats a bunch of bees.
Oh! Your answer was so obvious.
Which poisons Steve, so he doesn't want his mommy milk anymore. And that's pretty much all the episode wrote. Wow, what an experience, you know, I know I'm doing the worst episodes here to try to find what the worst episode in all of cartoons is, but after watching Total Drama-Rama and that farting episode, and going to this, my mental state is on a decline. I just can't imagine somebody who's even older than me thinking that this is a brilliant idea unless you have a dirty, stinky fetish and you want to suck on your mom's bosom. You fucking weirdo. That's all I can think about, man. It's just so odd. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would give it a solid 1 out of 10. You know, like certain things work about the episode, but I wouldn't feel morally right if I gave it anything higher than a 1 out of 10. The entire concept and the execution is just disgusting. This is one of those episodes where I can clearly tell that there's gonna be some keyboard warriors down in the comments like, you just don't understand that it's funny, and it's supposed to be bad. It relates to real world stuff like writers leaving. It's a big F you to Fox. You just don't get it. That's why you don't find it funny. I feel like it's definitely one of those things because the writers clearly made it so bad on purpose. There's no way there's a room full of 30 writers who actually think this episode is funny, and if they do, oh boy, I don't know how they got this silly little career in comedy or writing. I just don't understand. So, the episode opens with this guy named Fung Hua. He's a Chinese billionaire, and we spend some time with him where he's just showing off his money, and he's very excited for American Dad.
Fung Hua, Chinese billionaire. You don't believe me? That's mine.
Again, I don't really understand the point, but he now owns American Dad, and he says, have fun with your regularly scheduled programming! Yeah, Fung! Yes! Yeah, so he's gonna be a reoccurring character in this episode, and I don't really get the point of it, because I looked up who Fung Hua was, expecting him to be, you know, an important figure, but he's really only known for American Dad. I feel like this entire concept would be a lot more funny if it was like, I don't know, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, because all they're really doing this episode is a big old... You know, just, that's all they're doing to Fung Hua the entire time, so... If you wanted to make it a little bit funny, I guess you could use a real-world person who would probably really enjoy a good old-fashioned, yeah, you know? At least that's what I was thinking. But also, their intent is clearly not to make a funny episode, so I guess I'm in the wrong. I do actually like this opening scene, though, where Stan is sitting in his car, and just for no reason, he's like, don't let them know I have an erection. And then he looks at a guy to his right, and he's all like, stay soft, huh?
No one can tell you have an erection.
What's up, bud? Super soft over here.
Yeah, that's one of the only times I laughed this entire episode. The rest of it is just completely and utterly fucking pointless. Stan forgets his anniversary, you know, typical father in a sitcom plot. And the reason that I could clearly tell that it's all satirical and they know that they're making an awful episode is because it's the most cliche, like, sitcom failures you could ever imagine. He forgets his anniversary, and I guess it's not a cliche, but he does something so horrible to try to redeem himself, having Francine be put in a mental hospital. Yeah, very odd. And then Stan goes to the mall acting like a teenage girl who just had her first line of coke, just like, shopping, 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 this is all I need. Yeah, he just does that. He gets jiggy at a mall for a while. That was great, I guess. And then we also have a side plot with Roger, Haley, and Steve, where Roger has too much clothes, and at the end of it, Fung Hua always shows up, and everybody's just like, Fung Hua! Oh, you're so good at being a billionaire! That's all they do, and it's, not really that funny.
American Dad is now better than ever! Oh, yeah! Very, very cool.
It actually makes you question reality a lot. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people assume that, oh, they made it bad on purpose, which means it's actually funny and brilliant, and it's such a good commentary on, you know, studios nowadays and how they'll lean too much into things. No. Just because people make something awful on purpose, it doesn't make it brilliant or good. If it's hard to sit through, it's hard to sit through, and this is... it's like I'm sitting on a fucking pine cone right now. So, either way, Stan, goes to see Francine with a chicken bucket. Francine doesn't like this. She slaps it away and she's like, I hate you, Stan! I hate you so much! You're not good for me even remotely! And she starts tweaking, so they, you know, say that she actually is mentally ill and she's having another episode. So Stan fakes having an episode, so he's in there with her. And I don't know, he punches mentally ill people while he's there. He tries to break out of them, and then they end up on a lobotomy table, and Stan gets lobotomized. But then we cut to good old-fashioned Fung, who is like, oh, I hope you enjoy American Dad! Did you enjoy it? And then he sells it to a different Chinese man, and we get like a 2-minute ad about Fung Hua's hotels. Yay! Cool. And then it ends with this new man saying that he made Chinese American Dad, or Chinese Dad, whatever. And Stan in Mandarin says, I've been oppressed by my family, and then we hear, oh boy, and it's just Mickey Mouse speaking Mandarin, and they all start hitting a jig, which I actually did laugh at because it was so absurd. But yeah, that's my first American Dad experience in a few years. It's been a few years since I watched this show, and coming to this, wow. It's exquisite, it's divine, it's everything you could ever love in life. I think I'm about to bust. That was probably one of the best cinematic experiences I've ever had. Absolute cinema. I don't know. I don't want to be one of those people who gets deep into it and is all like, I'm gonna research all the deep meanings of this episode to understand why they were promoting Fung Hua, why they were having such a comedic time writing this episode, and how it's actually brilliant. Oh, I don't care. I really don't care. It's just a bad episode. Like, just because there's probably some underlying meaning, I just don't care. It's hard to watch, and I guarantee you if I knew what it was about, it wouldn't make it any better. I'm just not having a great time. If I was to rate this 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 2 out of 10. It's just exaggerating sitcoms, I guess, but that doesn't make it better. The next episode I'm going to be taking a look at is the Mural of the Story, and this one is interesting because it follows one of my least favorite tropes in any kind of media, a torture episode. I think a torture episode can work really well if the character actually deserves it, but in this episode, the character by no means deserves to be tortured in the way that they do. It's not even funny, it's that bad. This episode opens with Stan being sad, so we get to see Steve do the backseat shuffle.
Hey, backseat shuffle.
I'm rocking the upholstery almost every single
I liked that, and then he sees this mural that was very important to him, so he wants to restore it. We get a scene where he's talking to the entire town about restoring it, and they give him the honors of doing it. Haley wanted it to be a little bit more diverse, a little bit more inclusive, and add a couple things to it. Nobody in the town liked this, but especially Stan, no support for that, and Stan does a awful job with the mural. And everybody assumes that because it's so awful, it must have been because of Haley, and so they all start throwing trash at her, and Stan abandons Haley.
Clowns! That's clowning, you shitheads!
What a good father are you! Father number 1 out here! Yeah, abandoning your daughter, that's great. Love it. On the other hand, we do have Steve going to clown college, which I'm pretty sure is a Whiplash parody. I think so. Roger is his clown college teacher, and we get a couple of cool scenes from that. It's not the funniest thing ever, but it's a nice break from the nonsense between Stan and Haley. I guess I kind of appreciate that a little bit, because holy fuck is it about to go downhill. Stan He tries to take his daughter out for ice cream for forgiveness. He tries the bare minimum to get forgiveness, and Haley just keeps getting stuff thrown at her in public because, you know, everybody's like, "You ruined the mural! Fuck your diversity, bitch whore!" That's basically all they're doing to her. It's a dirty shame. And so Stan, he realizes there's only one specific thing that he could possibly do to rectify this. He drugs his daughter with chloroform, takes her down into the basement, and switches her face. Just molds it into something brand new, turning her into a monster. And it would have been one thing if, like, it was just time to operate, and then it cuts to a scene where she's already a monster. But we had to watch Haley as Stan digs a, like, screwdriver into her eye, pops one eye out of the socket, saws her face off. Yeah, we had to watch all of that, and the entire time I was, like, cinching up because I was like, why?
Bulge in just a bit. No problem. Just need to even it out. Easy. Okay, that one really came out.
She did nothing wrong to deserve such a horrible fate. Nothing even remotely.
You made me a monster!
She wakes up, and in a blind fury, she's disgusting, she's a monster, she runs into traffic to try to get away from Stan, and she gets hit by a truck, and is now in a coma. Crazy unfortunate events that transpired there to lead to this moment. My god. Just abysmal decisions to have with that character. I don't know who thought of that. Like, what if guys, come on, let's think about what's funny here. Let's make a dad brutally decimate his daughter, like just carve into her and then have her get hit by a truck. I don't know. It's not even like visually that cool. I just felt bad for her, which doesn't make the episode better. You know, if it was maybe played for a little more laughs, like it was more cartoony in a way, then sure, but this felt pretty serious. And then the episode just dives down even further right after this, because there's the doctor who seems a little bit sketchy, so Klaus, the fish, confronts her, and it turns out that it's actually Haley, and Haley found a real plastic surgeon to switch out her face and make her look beautiful again, and just wanted to torment Stan, so she faked her death, and yeah, it's one of those stupid convoluted plans that makes no fucking sense whatsoever, and I just hate it, and I just don't know why they decided to make this episode. Feels like they got 14 minutes in and were like, oh boy, well, we're in quite the pickle, but we can't stop now. It's just stupid. I don't like it at all. So she wants to get revenge on Stan, and Stan goes and paints a mural of Haley, and Haley forgives him. Oh yes, Dad. Remember when you carved off my face and literally bludgeoned my eyes and made me look into a fucking monster freak? And then you, like, painted a mural because you're sorry about it? Oh, Dad, you're so silly. You silly illy bean. You're so silly. Man, I forgive you. Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid. I hate it when characters do something so unbelievably heinous and can be forgiven for that. It's so bad. I hate it so much. Either way, one more highlight for the episode was this board meeting where Roger gets fired because he hit Steve in clown college, and all the clowns were like pulling out their gimmicks and doing their bits. I thought that was kind of funny. Everything else is just pretty much slop. I don't know. It's just a character torture episode for a character who didn't need to be tortured, and I didn't have a lot of fun with it. If I was to rate this episode on my own, I would probably give it a 3 out of 10, mainly for the clown college shenanigans. The final episode I'm going to be taking a look at is Shallow Vows, and this episode actually had a promising opening. You know, you got Stan, you got Francine, they seem so in love, he loves her thick, juicy ass, but of course, being a sitcom father, he has again forgotten that it is the 20th wedding anniversary. And what's more common than a sitcom father forgetting his wife's anniversary? I don't know, Minecraft YouTubers talking to little kids. It's just stuff like that. It just is a reoccurring theme. Homer did it, PETA did it, and Stan has already done it twice in this video. So, great stuff. Roger immediately wants to plan a wedding vow renewal, which is exciting. And Roger is kind of the only major highlight of this episode because he keeps, like, I don't know, going manic with his other personalities, where he's like Judy or whatever. He's this woman who is a great planner, but also this guy who has a knife. He even smacks Haley in the face in one scene when she suggests only getting them a card. But either way, I thought it was kind of funny, so I'm rolling with the Roger stuff. Good as new. Don't go into shock. Today's not about you.
Okay, everyone, play set.
But then where the episode seems to take a bit of a nosedive is when they're looking at the venue where they could potentially, you know, renew those sensual vows. Yeah, that. Sensual. That's the word I'm looking for. Stan, he confesses that he only likes Francine for her looks. And he is not joking. Not even remotely. And, you know, they could have done a little bit more funny stuff with this, but the path they decided to take was probably the least funny way to do it. At least that's how I view it. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me personally. So Francine, upon hearing this, she gets really fat, really plump, and really hairy. Every man's dream. And Stan, he just fucking runs away.
I don't want to embarrass anyone by making a scene.
He's like, nope, can't be with a big woman. I don't do no plus size. Which, I mean, no. I was gonna say I get it because you should promote health and want to be a healthy person, but that's your wife, dude. You've been with her for 20 years. You should love her for her personality and how great she's been. But, you know, you do you, Stan. You do you. And so Stan, he eventually does try to make it work with Francine, tries to go on a bunch of different dates, but ultimately, he just cannot stand the sight of her. So, where do you think that leads him? Where do you think that's gonna lead him, huh? Well, it's not very good. He decides to make himself blind.
I had my retinas removed. I'm completely blind. A toast to us.
Blind. He gets rid of his retinas. Yeah. But then he does fall in love with Francine because he can't see her. He can't see how big she is. Wondrous. Wondrous plotline, and Francine is all for it. But Francine has the realization that she's gonna have to work and provide, so she no longer loves Stan and ends up standing him up at the wedding vow renewal. And the entire joke is based on just the fact that, oh man, you know, Francine is so shallow and Stan is so shallow. We're both so shallow. I feel like there's a big difference between, you know, not loving your wife for 20 years and going fucking blind compared to not wanting to provide for the family. I don't know. One of those seems a little bit more extreme to me. At least that's how I took it. And I just didn't really like the conflict resolution there. It's just, okay, Stan, as long as you make a lot of money, I'll keep myself looking so sexy for ya. I don't know, I kind of thought that sucked. Either way, Roger was a highlight for this episode. I liked Roger a lot, but everything else sucked. I don't feel like this episode is as bad as people like to make it out to be, but the message is overall heinous. But what do you really expect from an adult animation like American Dad? Are you expecting for it to have good values about how people should be and how people should act? No. It's obviously just satire, but that doesn't really make it necessarily funny. I didn't really enjoy any of it. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I'd probably get a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10, I think it's fine. Mainly for the Roger stuff. And the Stan and Francine stuff wasn't so awful, but it wasn't good enough to make me rate it any higher.
I guess I could make love to it one more time before the stench makes me vomit.
These were some interesting episodes, to say the least. I don't know, the most interesting one was definitely American Fung. I would actually like to know what the creators were thinking when they made that episode, if they knew it was that bad, if there was a specific goal in mind, or if somebody actually found that shit funny. I don't know. I'm not gonna research it though, because I don't care that much. But by far, the worst episode that I watched was Tapped Out. I don't know, just watching a 14-year-old boy just hop on to his mom's bazungas and just hork it all down in front of a lot of people, that just doesn't sit right to me, especially when it became very unconsensual. Yeah, I just wasn't really about that at all. I didn't find that very entertaining. I thought the other 2 episodes were boring, but just fine. I did not like watching Haley's face get mauled, but it wasn't that bad. You know, a 3 out of 10 is pretty awful, but I could get through it. And as for Shallow Vows, I just think the entire concept and the conflict resolution actually ruins the episode. I think if they went a little bit more crazy with it at the end instead of, oh, we're both so shallow, then it could have been a lot better. I don't know. Either way, I really wasn't a big fan of any of these episodes, and I can completely see why the majority of the audience views them as some of the worst. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I have almost over 100 shows on a list that I'm going to be covering, and I'm going to be covering more shows just like this. If this video does well, I of course will do a part 2, so lots of good stuff on the way. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.